nice and flat, driving it forward, see if we get any play to the right before it finishes left. Building the Bag series. We are on to the faster fairways. This is kind of anything from like 9 to maybe even a faster 10 speed. I feel like this is a certain slot that I haven't used much because, you know, in the past I had Felons that I just had beat up and used in many different ways, but I've also just learned to kind of power down on some distance drivers to cover some of the same slots. But since I've moved to that open bag, a lot of discs have kind of presented themselves to kind of try and make my bag in a different slot. So super excited about this, and I have a huge stack that I am going to be throwing on backhands, maybe some rollers, lots of forehands, and really kind of feeling out which ones have the best chance to make my bag. Let's just get right into it. This is going to be fun. Let's go. All right, jumping right into it, we have the ThoughtSpace Athletics Mantra. I've been testing this one out for kind of like a utility disc. It's on the understable side, so I'm using it for rollers. But we're gonna try and give this one some nice air to see how it flies throughout the air. And we'll give it on a roll here in a little bit. But really like the feel of this. It's super comfortable both on a backhand and a forehand grip. So, I mean, I'm a little biased when it comes to the ThoughtSpace stuff, but this has already been impressing me with what the kind of many uses it has for such an understable disc. So we'll see how it flies. Ooh, we got a little bit of headwind. Just kind of smooth this one out. Ooh, she understable. That'll play. That's what I expected from that. Just, it is an understable disc. We got a little breeze in the face, so I knew it was going to kind of not really hold up very well. And if I hit it just a little bit harder, effortless rollers. And that's exactly what I'm looking for in my roller disc. So Mantra, again, we'll see it really shine on some tricky forehands and the rollers. Next up, this feels overstable. This is the Insanity from Axiom. This is the Insanity from Axiom. This one feels pretty overstable. Feels like it's gonna be in that Felon, Firebird, Scepter, Raptor slot. So I'm gonna give it a rip. I think it might hold up well into this headwind, but we'll kind of really see. I've never actually thrown or seen, I've probably seen people throw these, I just haven't been watching. Let's hit it hard. Not as overstable as it felt. I don't know. It flew really slow. It feels like it's like a 9-speed, but that flew like a 7-speed. And I could be wrong. It might actually be a 7-speed, but had good integrity. Like, it didn't turn too much, but I was expecting a lot more overstability out of it. I don't know, it's interesting. It might feel really good for the forehand. It's a little on the shallow side too. Next up, we have the Drew Gibson Series Legacy Vengeance. This feels like it's gonna be, you know, a 10-speed stable disc, but not too overstable. Just gonna be something you can kind of rip on and trust. This kind of feels like a Monster meets a PD. Not sure how the flight will actually be. I've been seeing a lot with the Legacy discs that they may feel on the more stable side, but they fly much more straight than they actually feel, which is a cool, unique feature to them. So plastic feels good on both backhand and forehand. So this will be a first test of this. So let's hit it nice, little baby hyzer, see how she flies. I think I was pretty accurate. That is more stable. Monster meets a PD is pretty accurate. More stable than I thought, so I'd probably want to get it over rather than ripping it on slight hyzer, so it can have a little bit more time to show its flex. So feels good. I'm excited to throw that one a little bit more. Next up is the Felon. This is actually the very first Felon I ever got. It's got the hot dog, big germ stamp on it. So this one is not going to fly like most Felons, but this has been a go-to for a long time, and I know that I always can pull this, you know, out and put it in the bag and know that I have something I can trust. So great disc, both backhand and forehand. That late bite, you love it. That one's nice because that one's nice and seasoned. I've had that one for so long, and it still has like a wonderful stability at the end. Holds straight for a long time with a good amount of power, and then bites at the end. That's what you're using a Felon for as it seasons in. It's really, really nice. Good disc.
You could say that one's double big germ stamp.
Yeah, it is double big germ stamp because he hit both of those stamps. Okay, onward. We have the Alpha from Mint Discs. This is kind of like, I don't know, this might be even a little slower than a 9. You could probably call it an 8-speed, but to me this was a little too fast for the 7-speed slot. So this kind of was fitting into what I thought a Thunderbird might fit into, but it's surprisingly stable. So you'll probably see that in flight a little bit. I'm gonna hit it nice and hard and flat, and we'll watch it kind of hold up. And then you get this late bite at the end. It's a really, really solid disc. Yeah, the Alpha from Mint is a quality disc. It's another one of those that if I want something for a specific slot on a hole where maybe a Votum for me is not getting there, and I want a little bit faster and a little more stable, I could potentially throw an Alpha. But you know, I think I like in that slot. It's like it's too in between for me, but I love the way it comes out of my hand. It's a very, very good disc. So if you're looking for something like that, where you maybe don't love a 9-speed is too fast, but you want something a little longer than your 7-speed, Alpha's going to fit right in. So from RPM, we have the PikaPika. This looks like it's going to be on the understable side, but it feels decently stable. So I'm going to be excited to kind of give this a nice rip. I'm going to give it some hyzer and really try and watch it work, because this could fight for a similar slot for the Mantra by the numbers in that 9.5, -3, 1 numbering. So if the numbers are true, it could definitely be trying to push a slot like the Mantra. So give it some hyzer with some, I'm going to give it some power. Not as understable, but that is a cool flight. Wow. That was surprising. That held a really good turn without burning. So it was up in the air, pulling to the right, but then it was working itself back to pan. So I think I'm gonna really wanna see that one in a tailwind, not as much in this little, like, this isn't much wind of a headwind, but it's enough to really kind of impact the disc. So PikaPika. All right, so we have the Discraft Paul Macbeth Onyx, or Onyx. I think it's called the Onyx. I know what they were going for. And this is a disc that I was kind of really excited about, because from what I've seen people use it for, it reminds me of really good PDs. It reminds me of really good Thunderbirds, but kind of also goes farther than both of those. So this kind of bridges a wonderful spot of fast fairway to almost bridging to being a distance driver. Even though it says it's a 10-speed, feels like a 10-speed in the hand, but when I've been throwing it, and this one's a brand new, so this will be interesting to see how it flies in comparison to what I've been bagging. But this will be an interesting one to see what it does and what kind of distance I can get in comparison. I know that the runs are very different, so sometimes you'll get an Onyx that is more overstable, and you'll sometimes get ones that are super dead straight. So you kind of got to pick and choose. But if you know what you're looking for, which I don't, so I got to ask Jeff Corns, Corny Man'll hook me up. I heard he's the Onyx Daddy, Onyx Daddy or something like that. So that'll be a fun, you should ask him about it. But either way, really, really liking this disc as a, you know, pseudo distance driver in the woods, but in the 10-speed. Just throw it, see how it goes. Pop a little bit of hyzer with some power. Or I'm gonna throw it in the ground. Shoo. It's fast. I mean, had I got that up in the air, we would have seen a little bit more of the flight to it, but you know, you could see nice and straight, wasn't peeling out, wasn't flipping up too much, so we're gonna be excited to throw that one a little bit more. On to the Discmania CD2. This is a disc that, if you've been following my career for a while, this is a disc that I threw a ton with my time at Discmania. This was a great disc. Ryan Rentala was the guy who turned me on to this disc, sent me one and said I needed to throw it, and the more I kept throwing it, the more I fell in love with it. I think that this is probably filling more of a forehand roll than it is a backhand roll, but I've been trying to reach for it for more backhands to give it a really, really good test of what it can do. And also, hint, hint, stay tuned for something coming out from Infinite that'll rival this CD2. Nice and smooth. Just throw it. Let's get some air. Nice flip up, baby fade. So good. Again, where you're gonna see that disc shine is on a forehand. What I always started to see when I would pop it with a little bit of hyzer on a forehand is that it felt like it just kept flying. That was one part about the CD2 that I loved, is that I could throw it just as far as my distance drivers a lot of the time in that 9-speed slot. So that's the type of disc that you know you can control, you can watch the distance, and you don't have to worry about that distance driver play right to left. So you can really kind of point, shoot, hit your lines. It's money. All right, so I have a pair of Thunderbirds because I felt like I wanted to shout out two amazing disc golfers in shooting this video. Big Germ, Jeremy Colling, and Nathan Queen. This is a commemorative for his Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship. Plus, this one's absolutely gorgeous. So these might be from the same run. I think the Big Germ looks a little more domey, so it could be on the more overstable side. But I have this this Nathan Queen one to see if it's a little bit straighter. So hopefully they fly maybe different enough than the Onyx and the CD2 to where I could consider myself bagging one. But if they end up being very similar, then it's going to be tough because we're going to have a lot of overlap. But I've always loved watching people throw the Thunderbird. Seems like it's a really popular disc as the 9-speed T-Bird type disc, if you will. Goes really far for a 9-speed. Really, really quality disc. So we'll start with Big Germ. Let's go! It's so sick. Your car's fast. All right, Big Germ Thunderbird. Again, this one feels more stable, so I'm gonna hit it flat. Again, we're gonna do the same thing. Try and get it up. Up we did. Look at that bite at the end though. That's nice. That's nice. I feel like I put that a little nose up, but overall flight was pretty solid. So let's see if this Nathan Queen, I'm gonna try and hit it similarly, nice and flat, driving it forward, see if we get any play to the right before it finishes left. Very similar. They feel different. Like the Germ one feels way more overstable, but very similar in flight. I mean, just go throw them again, right? I feel like that's the only way. And really compare them to the discs that are throwing in the same slot. So I'll be really kind of honing those in a little bit more to kind of give it a real test. The Infinite Disc Sphinx. This is an X out I got from Kessler Martin. Has his stamp on it. If it reminds me of what's his name? Oh my gosh. He's the rapper, Toronto Raptors fan. Was in TV show as a person in a wheelchair. Drake. There it is.
What?
I know, don't worry about it. Drake, he has the stamp with Drake, plus that reminds me of Mystery Science Theater robot on there. But this is a metal flake one. This feels overstable for a Sphinx. I was throwing an eye blend when I was in Utah, and that one was on the understable side, but it was really nice because it was understable, but overstable enough in the Utah air. So I'm excited to see if this flies similarly, because this should be some effortless distance. It says it's on the understable side, but again, this one just doesn't feel that understable. So we're gonna hit it kind of similar to the PikaPika, a little bit hyzer popped. Effortless distance, flew just like it. I mean, held the turn. It's pretty accurate to what I expected from the numbers. That one, again, I think is going to be fun to throw in the tailwind a little bit more to kind of see how much power we can put on it and see if we can still get that same type of drift out of it. I could see a Sphinx being useful depending on what the shots are calling for, but I think I have Centurions that fly similarly, and I like the feel of the Centurion a little bit more at the moment, but the Sphinx is really, really good. On to one that I have not thrown yet. This is the Maya from Infinite Discs. So this one is really cool. This is a gummy C blend. This feels understable. Very low profile. So if you like the low profile of a Mamba, but this feels a little bit faster, that this will be kind of an option. So I'm gonna try and throw this similar to how I threw that Mantra. Again, this doesn't necessarily feel, I got some fat stubby fingers, so it doesn't necessarily feel that good getting my hand underneath it, because I just feel like it's gonna fall out because of that shallow rim. But if you have small hands and need an understable, 10-speed disc, I think the Maya is a great option. All right. Throw it similarly. Let's go a little bit of hyzer, not full power, but we'll see. Okay, that's a roller. Bye. I mean, that's a crazy good roller though. Huh. I mean, it rolled really great, but I don't know if that's gonna be a disc that I need. It's almost to that point where, yes, the Mantra flips similarly, but I feel like it's a little bit easier to control. That one flipped very, very fast. But we'll give it another rip. I mean, it's not too bad. Just might not be for me. All right, so we got the Mad Cat. I believe this is from, oh man, don't get me wrong. I think this is a Lonestar Discs Mad Cat. Feels good. Feels like it feels like a domey Thunderbird type disc. But it feels, I don't know, it just feels a little bit different. I think it could be just the plastic difference is all it is. So it's because it's a little gummier plastic. I mean, just go for it. Just hit it. Throw it hard like we did that those Thunderbirds, nice and flat. Or release it early into the tree. Sorry, Mad Cat. So we got the LucidX Felon. This, you guys know, big fan of this disc. I was using this for so many years, and this is a brand new one. Should be very overstable, so this is going to be more like a utility disc. Shouldn't fly too far. It's good. I'm gonna push it over.
Which fish did you go with?
Kefin. This is, honestly, I have another disc that's going to be coming up that I've been using in place of a LucidX Felon currently, but knowing that I have LucidX Felons always available, I can go grab some. I can use this disc when I need to. So I'm gonna push this over on a little bit of anhyzer. And it fights hard. Kefin is overstable. Yeah, goes nowhere. But that's what you need that disc for. That disc isn't trying to pure lines or anything. That disc is for the utility. Throw it overstable, flex it, do what you need to do. Great on a forehand type disc. So you guys know. The Missy Gannon Undertaker. This, I think, fills a very similar spot to what the CD2 does. Or kind of flies like a Votum, but faster. So this is a cool option. This is definitely one that I like to try and stretch out. I'll push it on a little bit of hyzer and let it rip. Plus, it's got Missy's name on it, and she's amazing. Ooh, got some play out of that one, but watch the bite at the end. Pan out. Nice. You'll love to see it. It's good. Undertakers are really, really solid. If you're a Discraft fan and you want a really good straight fairway driver, it's even on the faster side, but like you call it a 9-speed, but you could almost throw it for similar 7-speed shots as well. The Undertaker is probably one of the best options in the lineup, in my opinion. So yeah, right on. Moving on up to the Slab. I know this is an 11-speed, but this feels more like just a utility disc. It's a fairway driver. I'm not really pushing this one too far. It's gonna fly similar to the LucidX Felon, maybe a little bit more just because it's a faster disc. Always gonna wanna have these kind of at the ready depending on what the weather throws at me. So we've got a little bit of anhyzer here. This one seems to be a little straighter. And bite. So that to me is a LucidX Felon that I can stretch a little bit farther, which is super, super nice. Yeah, because I mean, just you feel the speed out of your hand, but you're not gonna throw it, I don't know, I'm not gonna throw it like ripped over on forehand roller angles, but I'm gonna be able to kind of push it over on anhyzers and trust that I'm gonna get that sweeping, flexing flight from the Slab. Great disc from Infinite Discs. On to Prodigy FX2. I've watched a lot of Prodigy players, Thomas, Chris Dickerson throw this a lot. You know, I would imagine Kevin Jones is out ripping on this thing. Feels good. It has a textured bottom, which to me is the biggest reason I wouldn't bag this disc. It would, if I say I was with Prodigy, I probably would like find a way to make this disc work because I've seen it thrown and seen it fly really, really good because this is like their Thunderbird. But again, I don't have to force myself into this disc. So by feel alone, I can't force myself to do it. But I know once I hit this and throw it, it's gonna fly good. But again, if I can't get behind the feel, you know, there's no reason to try it. But we're gonna give you guys a good test to see how it flies. So we're gonna hit this just like we did on those Thunderbirds, nice and flat with some pop. Ooh, it's got even a little more bite than the Thunderbird. That was nice. That was nice. Again, texture bottom, it's not for me. It's a good thrower though. It's a really good thrower. All right, on to, I got a pair of Scepters, but these are two totally different discs. This is the Color Glow Metal Flake Scepter, super board flat. This has been my utility disc. This is the disc that's rivaling that LucidX Felon. Flies very similarly, but it's a softer plastic, so I feel like I have a little more touch and control on the release. And then we have the Swirly S-Blend Scepter. This flies probably similar to that beat up Felon, the red one I have, in that this is the perfect complement to the CD2 that I've been throwing as well, where this is just a little bit more than that, but I can stretch it on some forehands and really, really make it fly. So let's give it a rip. We'll rip the beefy boy first. Again, we're gonna push this over on anhyzer, kind of similar to what we did to the Slab, and watch it flex out. Woo, look at that jump. That was fun. All right, so I don't really throw the Scepter much on backhands, but I'm excited to see this because I feel like I can hit this just like I did those Thunderbirds, and I should be able to get a similar flight, but maybe a little bit more lateral, like left movement, just because the Scepter is a little more overstable. That held a long time. And there's the bite. Just like, doesn't even glide left, just falls left. it's unique. So, I mean, again, in that similar slot, depending on what the shot's calling, I know I can probably play some longer flexes on a backhand with a Scepter if I really want to, where I can get it to hold a long time and it should be able to break itself out because it does have that low speed overstability, which is really nice to see. So a disc that was recommended to me is the Innova Savant. People knew that I liked the CD2, and if I wanted something a little bit straighter than a Thunderbird, that this would be a great option. So I haven't thrown this yet, but I'm excited to try it. Feels good in the hand. Feels faster, but it's a little bit more shallow than a CD2. All right, hyzer, smack. That's got more understability than a CD2. Huh, that's gonna be fun to throw in the tailwind. And I also wanna try that one on a couple finger pop gliders, some sidearms, just really nice, smooth hyzer, and let it rip. All right, so we got things narrowed down a little bit. We're gonna try a couple out on some rollers, specifically the Mantra and the Sphinx. I'm gonna really test these to see which one I feel like is easier to get down for those rollers and work it out smoothly. Then we're gonna throw a couple backhands with the Onyx and the Thunderbird to really kind of test and show how we're feeling, why I might be leaning more towards one or the other. Give that, and then the rest are going to be thrown on some forehands. So we're going to see the Thunderbird on a forehand, Savant, both Scepters, the CD2, and even the Slab on some forehands. So we're going to hit them and just let the disc do the talking. Yeah, it just didn't want to flip up, but I think it might be the soft ground, but that felt, I don't know, it didn't feel as easy to pull over, where I'm having to work a little bit harder with the angle to get it over. Let's see if the Mantra can have that more effortless flip we're looking for. Oh yeah, it does. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Yeah, that's the win. I think the Mantra is just a little bit more what I'm looking for than the Sphinx, but I will say the Sphinx offers a really, really, really good option as a understable thrower, probably great for some low speed arms. And if you do have a bigger arm, you can use it for some bigger turnovers and maybe even some rollers. Super good. All right, on to some backhands. This is the type of shot that I want to see, is the Onyx versus the Thunderbird. So we'll give it a nice, good rip and drive it into this gap, just nice and smooth. That's so good. Easy, straight as an arrow. Hit that nice and flat, had that peel to the right while never really ever losing it. See if we can kind of try and replicate that with the Thunderbird. Ooh, I pulled over on that one. Look at that bite though. Yeah, I feel like I'm trying too hard with the Thunderbird. The Onyx feels a little bit easier to push out there. So I think the Onyx is gonna get the nod. Even though I didn't throw that Thunderbird very good, but when I put that disc in my hand, I feel like I want to throw it harder than I need to. So that solves it.
We are green to go.
All right, so we're gonna hit some forehands. When I was told about the Innova Savant, they said that this would be a disc that I might like for some forehand shots. Should be similar to, you know, straight Thunderbird or a CD2. So again, we're gonna try and push it nicely through this gap and see what kind of flight we can get out of it. That wind is playing with me. I was good on a hyzer though, held smooth. It's kind of an easy, effortless throw. I kind of expected a little more flip up, but it could be that it's a slight crosswind, so it might just be not allowing it to peel up. So, but that did have the Savant has a more shallow feel. So I think the CD2 is a little bit deeper and it feels more comfortable, especially just picking it up after just throwing that. So might be more what I'm looking for. Oh, that flip up is wonderful. Whoo, good distance on that. You love to see it. CD2, money. Gonna be on the lookout for something very similar here soon. Let's test the other ones. Okay. All right, we'll try the Thunderbird. This one again should be pretty stable, so I'm gonna wanna push this one nice and flat. Let's see how it flies for a forehand. That is way more overstable than I expected. Whoa! Yeah, all right. Well, should be similar. Swirly S-Blend Scepter should be kind of similar. Also gonna try and push this one nice and flat. I got that one over, but that's got that hold that I like and ground play. Ooh, that's money. Yep. And the Thunderbird was on the domey side, so it doesn't feel that great for forehands. So we got the stable guys. We got the Slab and the Scepter in the hand. This I know I'm gonna wanna push over. So this is gonna be more that chop forehand you see, but this is how we're gonna see it fly. And it just breaks out nicely, finds the ground. That's good distance control right there. All right, hit the Slab, kind of similar. Should probably get a little more distance just based on the speed. Or throw it into the tree. It's all right. All right, so that is the faster fairways. A couple honorable mentions. I could see the Slab coming in and out of the bag, really dependent on the tournament. You know, depending on if I need a little bit more than my Color Glow Metal Flake Scepters, just a little bit extra in that, and you can feel it in that speed. Awesome disc to have at the ready, but not always in the bag. The Missy Gannon Undertaker. Discraft Undertaker is a quality disc. Again, as I said, I hyped it up a bunch so far. Get out, try it out. It's a great option. I think it's a perfect disc for a lot of players, and they will really, really be able to kind of make use of what it can do, because it can do a lot of really good things. But this won't necessarily be in my bag, but I know that I have it at the ready if I need. Another Discraft disc, the Onyx. This is in the bag for sure. One thing that I'm going to maybe test is you're going to see me throwing this on maybe some holes that I might be throwing a distance driver on normally, but I can throw this with a little bit more control but still get distance driver distance out of a 10 speed. Onyx, super surprising, absolutely loving it. Good stuff, good stuff. Thought Space Athletics Mantra, I love this one with the OTB stamp. Shout out to those guys, amazing people. But this is going in as a utility disc. This is a roller. This is a get out of trouble, big high forehands, kind of flippy forehands or patent pending turnovers, whatever I need to. This will be used a lot. You'll see it vertically most of the time on the ground running and trying to get me some birdies. So big, really stoked on the Thought Space Athletics Mantra. Really, really good. Another utility disc in the Color Glow Scepter from Infinite Discs. This thing is crazy overstable. If you find the ones that have the parting line that lifts up, board flat, this thing is a workhorse. Have to have it, feel comfortable with it in the bag. Got a handful of these swirly S-Blend Scepters to kind of cycle in and out through the season. I'm loving this to push it a little bit longer on some forehands. I know I can release it nice and flat and get a really good push. Pushing distance with that stability and that scepter jump at the end, which is always really nice. And then the CD2, and again, alluding to there might be something really cool on the horizons with Infinite, but this disc, it just, when I throw it, both on a backhand and a forehand. I feel like I just can bank on getting more distance than I was expecting. So I can stretch it a little bit farther. And I think once I get one of these nice and seasoned in, this is going to be a deadly disc in the woods to where I have that natural flip up and I can start to really shape some tunnels and really push some lines whenever I need it, because there are plenty of courses on tour where having a nice straight forehand for 325, 350 plus goes a long way, and I feel like this is one of those discs that will help make that happen. So that's it for these fairways. It's going to be a fun one to go and full send with the distance drivers. If you haven't checked out the other videos, please go check them out. This whole Building the Bag series has been so fun. Infinite Disc has made it a possibility. They're allowing me to throw what I love, and it's been amazing. So make sure you guys head over to infinitedisc.com, go to whalestacks.com, Upper Park, Thought Space Athletics, Birdie Fuel Coffee, who you name it, like anybody who's supporting us. Disc Golf Strong is another one that, God, I wouldn't be here without all of these amazing companies and all the fans taking care of Tina and I and making this dream happen. So stay tuned to the next one, and we're going to be hopefully wrapping up and putting a full in the bag after these distance drivers. So be ready for some sends. We'll catch you in the next one.